Welcome, dear devotees, to today's session. Kishore Prabhu has joined. Hare Krishna, Kishore Prabhu. So today is a very auspicious day. It's Sat Tila Ekadasi. Tila means sesame seeds or till. And on this Ekadasi, they offer till. Every Ekadasi is a mother of devotion. So hopefully all of you had a successful day. Successful day means lots of hearing and chanting. That's Srila Prabhupada said the main purpose of Ekadasi is not so much focus on chanting. Once one devotee broke fast on Ekadasi and was in lots of anxiety. Prabhupada said, we are not fanatic. You can fast the next day. And just make sure you read and chant a lot. So this is success on Ekadasi. More than we normally do, much more than we normally do. We read and chant about the glories of Lord Krishna. So hopefully you had the opportunity to do that. If you're not, and your day was filled up doing other things and chores, not to worry, the night is still young. We can still do lots of hearing and chanting. There are devotees that they fast the whole day on Ekadasi and they stay up the whole night. There's quite a few devotees in ISKCON that do that. Not possible for many of us, but yeah, it's a wonderful day. So let's continue in that vein today, reading and chanting about discussing the Nectar of Devotion. So we'll continue today where we left off last week, which was chapter number 9. So I think we stopped at 22 or 23. So I'll share my screen. We'll say our invocation, Mangala Charanam, and then we can proceed from there. Anyone would like to read the invocation today? Okay, I'll do it. Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipano Sadharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karino Tribhuvane Manya Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Sri Sad Goswami Astika by Srinivasacharya, verse 2. It is said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to give the pure and essential teachings of the Vedic literature. And Mahaprabhu was very eager to do this. And Mahaprabhu did this through the mouths of certain of his devotees. And Mahaprabhu took great pleasure in hearing his devotees and his disciples speak these essential teachings. It is explained that through the mouth of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he explained the essential meaning of what liberation means. Through the mouth of Srila Rupa Goswami, he explained the whole details of rasa. Through the mouth of Ramananda Rai, he explained the concept of rasa. Before the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, basically only two rasas were known and observed, and that was Dasya Ras, serving the Lord in the mood of servitorship, and a bit of Vatsalya Ras, serving the Lord in parental mood, mainly worshipping the Lord in the form of Bal Gopal. But through the mouth of Ramananda Rai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the concept of Madhurya Ras, which is the topmost in terms of sentiments of love expressed for Krishna. And through the mouth of Srila Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the glories of the holy name. So I'll mention that. So we'll now recite the Mangala Charanam prayers. You can do so behind muted mics also. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jigatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadeshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, chapter number 9, and I think we got to 22. I don't think we did this. So we'll continue, even if we did, we'll continue from here today. Let's see who else has joined us today. Ma Bhagavati Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna. Okay, let me read 22 first. Accepting flower garlands. So let's get someone to read. Kishore Prabhu, you can read if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Accepting flower garlands. The next instruction is that one should put on flower garlands that are offered to the deity. In this connection, in the 11th canto, 6th chapter, verse 46 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhava says to Krishna, "My dear Krishna, I have taken things that you have used and enjoyed, such as garlands of flowers, scented oils, garments, and ornaments. And I eat only the remnants of your foodstuff because I am your menial servant. So therefore, I am sure that I shall not be attacked by the spell of the material energy." The purport of this verse is that for any person who simply follows these rules and regulation of decorating the body with the marks of tilaka made from gopi chandana or sandalwood pulp, and who puts on the garlands that were offered to Krishna, there is no question of being conquered by the spell of the material energy. At the time of death, there is no question of such a person's being called by the constables of Yamaraja. Even if one does not accept all the Vaishnava principles, but still takes the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna or Krishna Prasada, he will gradually become qualified to rise to the platform of a Vaishnava. Similarly, in the Skanda Purana, Lord Brahma tells Narada, "My dear Narada, anyone who puts on his neck the flower garland which was formerly used by Krishna becomes relieved from all disease and reaction to sinful activities, and gradually he is liberated from the contamination of matter."
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
I'll just show you the Sanskrit that Prabhupada is quoting from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's actually number 23, not 22. Nirmalya Driti Yata Ekadase. So Twayo Pabukta Shraganda Vasolankara Charchitaha Uchista Bojino Dasastava Mayam Jayema Hi. And where is this being quoted from? The 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Uddhava. Simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory energy. That's Srimad Bhagavatam 11.6.46. There is some commentary offered by Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He's written one of the commentaries. The other commentary that we normally study is the commentary written by Srila Vishnava Chakrabarti Thakur. So you can see that how important this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is. That even our great acharyas have written commentaries on this book. And Srila Jiva Goswami says, this is a statement of Uddhava. This statement also applies where Krishna is not personally present. Jaya Mahi means we can conquer. The two verses following this verse are, this is what is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the two verses, 11.6.47 and 48. The translation is, naked sages who seriously endeavor in spiritual practice, who have raised their semen upward, who are peaceful and sinless members of the renounced order, attain the spiritual abode called Brahman. O greatest of mystics, although we are conditioned souls wandering on the path of fruitful work, we will certainly cross beyond the darkness of this material world simply by hearing about your Lordship in the association of your devotees. So Srila Jiva Goswami picks out one particular verse from the Bhagavatam. Tarishya Maha. Yeah means we can cross over. So what is interesting about these two verses? These two verses talk about naked sages who have become very renounced, who have raised their semen upward, who are peaceful, who are sinless, and have attained the stage of Brahman. Stage of Brahman means completely out of the concept of matter, completely free of sin. So this verse, or this quotation is saying, simply by doing the following, one can reach the same stage. Decorating ourselves with garlands, fragrant oils, cloths, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, your servants will indeed conquer your illusionary energy. When I read this verse and I read the purport, the overall feeling I had was one of deep gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has come to London. He has installed personally Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Shri Radha Landanishvara. And we get the opportunity to get the garlands and smell. This morning I went for Mangal Arti. So many times the devotees were coming, at least 2-3 times. They were coming and giving us the flower to smell, the flower that was just offered to the deity. And then after that, they offer the fragrant oils. I think I still have that scent on my hand now. They offer the scented oils to the Lord. And then there is the Lord's remnants. And simply by these items, it says one can cross over the illusory energy. Prabhupada writes here, and Srila Jiva Goswami has also focused on the word conquered. One can conquer the spell of material energy. It is very, very difficult for one to conquer the spell of Maya. But this is very difficult to escape the control of the Yamadutas. But for one, simply by putting around one's neck the flower garland which was formerly used by Krishna. And we know the deity is Krishna. Radha Gokulananda is Krishna. He is Krishna. Immediately we become relieved from all disease and reactions to sinful activities. And gradually it becomes liberated from contamination of matter. So sometimes we get so used because it says familiarity breeds contempt. We get so used to receiving the flowers and the flower garlands. Sometimes we do not appreciate it. We do not receive it in the right consciousness. So the next time we receive the good fortune of receiving a garland from the Lord, or we receive the good fortune of smelling the flowers which was offered to the Lord, or eating the remnants of the food offered to the Lord, or getting to smell the oils, the scented oils which was offered to the Lord, we should just think to ourselves, what is my good fortune? How much of my sins have just been dissipated? How much now? It said here that Yamaraj, the constables of Yamaraj, they cannot touch such a person. Therefore, we see in our Vaishnava society, when someone passes away, the devotees are very eager to get the garland of the Lord and to put it around the deceased and to offer all sorts of items of the Lord to the deceased, the body actually, because that offers some protection to that soul from the constables of Yamaraj. Probably the best protection one can ever get. So we are so fortunate, we are so indebted to Srila Prabhupada that through his mercy, we have access to all of these items. Otherwise, how difficult it would be. Any comments or questions on that? But that means we need to go to the temple. These items, they are there in the temple. When we go to the temple, then we have access to these items. So we should make going to the temple our regular activity. You know, we can see the deity darshan, we can get darshan online, yes, for certain we can do that. It may be cold, it may be some austerity involved to go to the temple, but we should do it because the mercy we receive there is so great, so great.
I think next time Saturday, if you're going to Mangalarti, then let us know. I think that's the only way impetus we will have to.
Yeah, because of work, I go on a Wednesday, I go on a Friday, sometimes Saturday, sometimes not. It's the only day I have a little break, and then Sunday for sure I'm there. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll try Friday then.
Yeah.
It's just if somebody's there, if it's like, you know, somebody's watching that, you can be reporting that day. Otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
But I think as a group, if we maybe make one morning plan to do it,
Yes.
then that potency will be stronger.
Yeah, practically, you know, we're reading with many items. You know, you'll see that in Prabhupada's morning program, you know, a lot of these items are there. We recite the 10 offenses to the holy name. We chant the holy name. We worship Tulsi Devi. We worship the spiritual master. We glorify the spiritual master. We hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada has packed into this morning program so many of these items that we see or we read about in the Nectar of Devotion. So we should take it, you know, in the morning, after we sing the Nishingadev prayers, we read the Prabhupada Shikshamrita. And Prabhupada says that the devotees, they should come to the temple in the morning and evening. They should come. For us as householders, we are many of us have deities also, but still going to the temple is important. Yeah, and I'll encourage what Chandrika Mataji has just suggested now. Let's just see, there is some comment here by Mataji. Yes, by Mataji, that's no problem. In addition to many other, mercy getting garland is the best thing about the transfer service. We can preserve this mercy by making potpourri for the house. Oh, that's nice, Emma Mataji. So you are getting the mercy there today while you're doing your transfer service. That's nice. And with the flowers you're suggesting from the deity's garlands, you can make potpourri. Yeah, nice suggestion. Keep it.
I can say on my realization, Prabhu.
Yes.
How the garland has made me realize and given to me by my spiritual master. I've been totally, I was Casey, but not Casey, you can say that, because it was Pushtimag in our family, and believed in Krishna, believing in any god, you can say, Kalima, Durgama, whatever. My husband already been initiated, but I wasn't into Casey at all. And I think so Radhanath Maharaj came once in the temple that was in Radha Gokul Nanda.
Yes.
And this is, I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago. And Jainitai Prabhu, the ex-president of Soho Temple, he says, Bharti, he called me Bharti because I was in Bhagavati then. I said, Bharti, come on, I'll introduce you to Radhanath Maharaj. And then he asked Ramcharan, then come on, Ramcharan, we'll take you. He said, no, I don't want to do that. So Jainitai Prabhu says, no, I must take Bharti, you know. So he took me forward and he went there, and Radhanath Maharaj is just sitting there after the kirtan. And I bowed down to him. I didn't know exactly what to do in those days. I really was very, very naive and a silly person, I would say that. And somehow he just looked up at me. He had the garland in his neck. He took it out of it. And then he just gave it to me. He says, I'll see you soon. And these are the words. And since then, I haven't been behind, went away from Casey at all. I started going anywhere. And within the first 2 years, I started Bhakti Shastri course and I was into it.
Wow.
So you can imagine the garland of Radha Gokul Nanda. And Maharaj Mercy also, his glance was.
Yeah, you got the Maha garland. When the
Yeah.
advanced Vaishnava use the Maha garland, and he becomes Maha.
Maha garland, yeah. So you can see how much mercy and the fortunate I was at that time.
Oh,
So I can, the way you say it, the garland can change your life, and it does, really, it did. It did to me.
thank you for that personal testimony, Bhagavati Mataji. That's really wonderful to hear. And
Yes.
yeah,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. We should be eager to receive the garland. Sometimes when I give class in the manner, the speaker manages to get the garland, so I get very happy. And then after the class, some people can say, can we get the garland? I'm not saying it's anything special that I used it, but it's the Lord's paraphernalia, and I think this person appreciates the Lord's paraphernalia, so we should share. We should share it. Yeah, very nice. Anyone else got any comments or questions? Yeah, it's spiritual. All of the Lord's paraphernalia is spiritual. And when we receive those items, then we are coming into contact with spiritual items. And automatically, it'll rub off on us. As Prabhupada says, you take an iron rod and you put it in contact with fire and you keep it for some time, then that iron rod no longer becomes metal. The properties of fire is it exhibits light and heat. So that iron rod, it exhibits heat and light. It said it becomes fire. So in the same way, when we come in contact with the items of the Lord, it spiritualizes us. It spiritualizes us. And it's wonderful. So we'll move on to the next item, which is, there's another quotation also, Srila Rupa Goswami. He gives from the Skanda Purana. And again, it's so amazing that Srila Rupa Goswami is able to mine all of these beautiful verses. From the Skanda Purana, it says, Krishna tirnam tu nirmalyam yasyangam sprisate mune sarva rogais tata papai mukta bhagavati narada. O sage Narada, whoever touches the garlands offered to Krishna with his body becomes free from all sins, all diseases, and all sins. It's interesting, it says all diseases and all sins. There's an interrelationship. Disease is simply a result of our current and previous sins. So when we touch the garland and we become freed of those sins, then automatically the disease also decreases. So the next one, item number 24, is entitled Dancing Before the Deity. In the Dwaraka Mahatmya, this is from Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. Oh, sorry, let someone read. Let someone read. Why am I reading only? Jai Shri Mataji, you would like to read, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes. Dancing before the deity. In the Dwaraka Mahatmya, the importance of dancing before the deity is stated by Lord Krishna as follows. A person who is in a jubilant spirit, who feels profound devotional ecstasy while dancing before me, and who manifests different features of bodily expression, can burn away all the accumulated sinful reactions he has stocked up for many, many thousands of years. In the same book, there is a statement by Narada, wherein he asserts, from the body of any person who claps and dances before the deity, showing manifestations of ecstasy, all the birds of sinful activities fly away, upward. Just as by clapping the hands one can cause many birds to fly away, Similarly, the birds of all sinful activities which are sitting on the body can be made to fly away simply by dancing and clapping before the deity of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Beautiful again. This is the Sanskrit from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The next. So agre tandavan yata dwaraka mahatmya. Yo nityati prarisht atma bhavai bahusha bhakti taha. Sa nirdhayati papani manvantara satteshu api. Dancing before the deity, verse 84, shown in the Dwaraka Mahatmya. He who joyfully dances with many emotions before the Lord burns up sins which have been committed for the duration of many hundreds of Manvatara periods. Srila Jiva Goswami says Manvatara Sateshu here means produced during hundreds of Manvatara periods. Now, I don't have it exactly in front of me, but we know there are many Manus. The word Manvatara comes from Manus. And each Manu lives for a very long period of time. Very long period of time. And the period of time he lives is called a Manvantara. And Swayambhuva Manu is the current Manu. And it is said, simply by joyfully dancing with many emotions before the Lord, we burn up so many sins, the duration of many hundreds of Manvantara periods. You cannot even estimate how much. Now, some people may think this may be an exaggeration. It's not. It's not. But it's important. There's a few important words used here. It is said, joyfully dances with many emotions. That means we have to be engaged in the kirtan. We should shed all inhibitions and dance joyfully. And when Krishna sees the devotee dancing very joyfully, Prabhupada actually taught the devotees how to dance. He taught them the Swami step. But we should dance and we should show some emotions. Not artificial. It's natural. I think everybody got experience. You're in a kirtan. It's beautiful singing. The emotions just come naturally. And when one does so joyfully, recently we had at the beginning of the year, there was this Be a Monk. They have the Be a Monk, the 7-day Be a Monk challenge, where people, lots of them had no previous contact with Krishna consciousness. And they come to the temple, they live for 7 days. So there was a big group that came in the beginning of January. And there were two like Chinese, one black body, 4 white bodies, some Indians. And this was a really jolly group, really nice group. And so the kirtan was going on. And some of them grabbed instruments. And they were really into the kirtan. I got so much of joy. I was just looking at them, observing their faces, observing how they were dancing, observing how happy they looked. It was such a joy to watch these people who've not had much. They were really relishing the kirtan, participating in the kirtan. And I was thinking to myself, how much of advancement they must be making. How much of advancement. Dancing before the deity. Again, we can experience this if we come to the deity, in front of the deity, if we engage in the kirtan and then we dance. It means we need to take advantage of what we have. And there's a beautiful analogy given here. Many of us have this experience, birds, Sometimes they come and stand on the line or on the fence, and someone may come, or they may hear, sorry, you just like clap, and then all the birds just fly away, they go away. And the same way, and again, this is no exaggeration, every time we're in the kirtan and we engage, we don't feel shy to clap, we don't feel shy to jump, we don't feel shy to dance. And when we go round and round, we just eagerly go round and round. And then every time Prabhupada says, we clap, Prabhupada said two things. Clap, just like birds fly away, our sins fly away. And Prabhupada also said, the lines on your hand, these lines in your hand, they indicate our future fate. People can palm read and they can say so many things about our future just from the palm. And Prabhupada says, when you clap your hand, the lines disappear. All the lines disappear. Meaning it's not like, in one sense, physically disappeared, but meaning it doesn't have the same story to tell. The story changes. If one reads that, it's changed just by clapping the hand. It's so beautiful. Yeah, and this is the verse. All the birds of sin situated in the body fly away from those who dance before the Lord with vigorous clapping of the hands, not indifferent. Sometimes you see some people, they come in the kirtan and, it's like sit there or they stand there. Yeah, it's good they are there, but not much emotion, hardly moving their feet, not clapping. But we should get into it, really get into it. And, we'll feel, ecstasy, and also Krishna is pleased. Radha Gokulananda, Sisi Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman, Sisi Gaur Nitai, they become very pleased when they see the devotees happy. Any comments or questions on that? Reflections? Okay. We shall move on then. So the next one, bowing down in honor of the deity. Let's see what we can ask. Komal, would you like to read? If you can see my screen.
Sure. Yeah. In the Narada Purana, there is a statement about bowing down and offering respect to the deity. It is said there, a person who has performed a great ritualistic sacrifice and a person who has simply offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord cannot be held as equals. The person who has executed many great sacrifices will attain the result of his pious activities. But when such results are finished, he has to take birth again on the earthly planet. However, the person who has once offered respects, bowing down before the deity, will not come back to this world because he will go directly to the abode of Krishna.
Thank you. So this is the verse. Bowing down is Dandavan Natihi Yata Naradiya Ekopi Krishnaya Kritaha Pranamo Dashavameda Avabritahe Natulya Dashavamedhi Punair Eti Janma Krishna Pranami Na Puna Bhavaya. Offering obeisances, verse 84 from the Naradiya Purana. The purificatory rites performed during 10 horse sacrifices cannot equal even one pranam offered to Krishna. A person who performs 10 horse sacrifices takes birth again. The person offering pranams to Krishna does not take birth again. So it is said you can make comparisons between two items or two things if there is some similarity. So it is said in the Naradiya Purana, some person of all the sacrifices, probably the best known sacrifice is the Ashvamedha sacrifice or the horse sacrifice. And there's lots of merit, piety one gains by that. But that's what it is only. It's piety. It's punya. And one who performs 10 horse sacrifices, the result they get is they enjoy many, many years of so-called happiness, so-called prosperity in the material world. And what happens to someone who offers pranam? They never take birth again. So this song that Boy George sang, bow down, Mr. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, bow down, Mr. We say Radhe Shyam. It was a very apt song, because anyone who bows down before Krishna is making an advancement. So sometimes we get guests that come, sometimes we bring visitors to the temple. Sometimes we may feel a little reserved. They may feel shy to bow down, because many people, this bowing down for us, it's almost natural now, because it's so much part of Vaishnav culture. Since the time we get up in the morning, the very first thing is we bow down. So even before our feet touch the ground, we bow down and we offer our pranams. And the whole day, at least 3 times a day, we are bowing down before the spiritual master. So bowing down is not like a big deal, because we're used to it. But many people, they've never bowed down before. They've never bowed down to anybody. So for them, just the act of bowing down is something very foreign and unfamiliar for them. But if they can just bring it upon themselves. I'm not sure when Boris Johnson came to our temple whether he actually bowed down before Prabhupada or probably just offered his pranam. It says pranam here, but in the verse it says dandavan. Dandavan means bowing down. When in the early days of ISKCON, one of Prabhupada's followers was Garga Muni. Garga Muni, he had this aversion to bowing down. Everyone else would bow down before Srila Prabhupada, but he just couldn't bring it upon himself to bow down. So one day he went to Srila, and he was feeling a bit bad about it. So one day he went to Srila Prabhupada and he said, Swamiji, everyone is bowing down, but I'm not bowing down. And the truth is because I don't feel like bowing down. Yeah? And I don't want to do something that I don't feel like doing. So what would you say, Swamiji? And Prabhupada responded, Prabhupada said, you should bow down. Because by bowing down, the feeling to bow down will come. Meaning it was a very, very subtle thing that Srila Prabhupada said. It's why do we feel, or may one feel averse to bowing down? It is due to anarthas. It is due to material conditioning. It is due to many things, unwanted things within the heart. But when one does bow down, immediately those anarthas that are holding us back, they will go. And then naturally the feeling for bowing down would come. So next time, we should, if someone come to the temple, we should encourage them to, if they say, what do you do? We say it's part of our culture that we bow down before the spiritual master. We bow down before Krishna. Why don't you try it? Don't feel shy. Try it. And encourage them to bow down. Because just by the simple act of bowing down, they make so much of advancement, so much of advancement. Any questions or comments on that?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I just want to ask a question. So, as you mentioned, like Boris Johnson. So, for example, even if someone like Boris Johnson did pay obeisances, would he still be guaranteed to not take birth again, even though as a leader and whatever he does, he's committing other sins?
In the least, he will get some opportunity to connect with Krishna. In the least, you know, even not certainly in future. Krishna sees it. He said, whatever devotional service you offer, like he came, he had the great good fortune of garlanding Srila Prabhupada. That is to his eternal credit. So all of the other not so nice things he did, that's there also, but he would have been saved by so much of let's just say, want of a better word, the unsavory things he's done or he's doing. Yeah.
Okay.
That's to his eternal credit.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions or comments, or we should move on? Okay, let's move on to item number 26. 26 is standing up to receive the Lord. I'll read this one because it's fairly short. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said, a person who sees the Lord's Ratha Yatra car festival and then stands up to receive the Lord can purge all kinds of sinful results from his body. And the verse quoted is from the Brahmanda Purana, Abhyutanam Yata Brahmande Yanarudham Puraha Preksya Samanyatam Janadanam Abhyutanam Naraha Kurvam Patayat Sarva Kilbisam. The person who rises upon seeing the Lord approaching on a palanquin will have all sins destroyed. Now, it is Vedic culture, whenever a superior person enters the room, no matter what one is doing, one should stand up because of respect. Even more so, if the spiritual master enters, one should stand up. If a senior Vaishnava enters, one should stand up. What to speak of the deity? If the deity comes passing by, one should definitely stand up. And in the Bhagavatam, we see the results of people who did not observe this. Who can remember an example in the Bhagavatam of someone who didn't observe this and had to pay his dues quite severely? In the 10th canto, yeah. Who's going to say? You can say.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mataji?
I was going to say Shishupal because he didn't respect Lord Krishna.
Yes. He did it in a different way, but he was also strict. But the common example is Romahashana Sutta, where he was sitting on a raised seat, speaking to people. Lord Balaram entered the assembly. He continued to sit down. And Lord Balaram, being quite disgusted by his impudence, took a leaf, well, a blade of grass, and just tapped him, and he was killed. But Lord Balaram was actually showing him mercy. He had committed a great and grave offense, and he was going to suffer because of that offense. But Lord Balaram, by killing him, freed him of that offense. So in the same way that so many of our sins get destroyed when we stand up on seeing the Lord, seeing the Guru, seeing a senior Vaishnava, in the same way when one does not observe this, the opposite happens. One gets implicated in aparad. And when one gets implicated in aparad, there's only suffering. There's only suffering. So it's an important principle. Remember, just at the back of our mind, we should remember that Srila Rupa Goswami is listing out here items that are considered acts of devotion, items of sadhana bhakti, which propel us forward in our path of bhakti. So simply by this act of standing up, we're standing up, we make so much advancement. When I was reading this verse, I was thinking about how sometimes in Ratha Yatra in London, these open top buses go up, and involuntarily people stand up. Some of them stand up to take photograph, but still they are standing up. Some people are sitting in the chairs, they stand up when the deity comes. They get the same benefit. They get the same benefit, knowingly or unknowingly. If one performs these acts, one gets the benefit. So we'll do one more and then we'll conclude for today. And number 27, following the deity. Maybe who I can ask to read. Mayank Prabhu, you can read, please.
Following the deity. A similar statement is there in the Bhavishya Purana, in which it is said, even if born of a lowly family, a person who follows the Rath Yatra car when the deities pass in front or from behind will surely be elevated to the position of achieving equal opulence with Vishnu.
Jai. Oh, I didn't copy the Sanskrit. Anyway, following the deity, not so much in our temple, but in other temples, the deities go on procession. Sometimes our deities, Choto Radha Madhav, Choto Radha Gokulananda, they put them on a boat, they put them on a chariot, sometimes they take them on a cart to see the cows. When we see that happen, no matter what we are doing, if we're taking prasadam, we're having a nice conversation, or we're eating a nice pizza, whatever, just leave it and immediately follow the deity. It's a custom sometimes, even in Janmashtami, you see they bring the deity from the temple. The devotees who know, they follow in procession. And when the deity is leaving, what they do, they also follow the deity in procession. And what is the result when we do that? It says here, we will surely be elevated to the position of achieving equal opulence with Vishnu. I mean, we do not want that, but we basically want to serve the Lord. Serve the Lord. But just following the deity, these simple principles of standing up, following, it's all showing affection. And same way with the spiritual master also. When the spiritual master comes, the disciples should follow the Guru. Follow the Guru with due respect. These are all very, very important aspects of Vaishnava culture, and they also increase our devotion because Krishna is pleased. When Krishna is pleased, then we advance. That is the essential principle. By doing all of these activities, Krishna is pleased. So I think I'll stop on number 27 today, and we shall resume again. Or maybe next week, I think we're getting together on Friday at Chandrika Mataji's house. We may not speak from Nectar of Devotion. We may speak on some other topic. So dear devotees, any comments, reflections, anything you'd like to say or add?
Prabhuji, you mentioned about clapping and the lines disappearing.
Yeah.
Surely this is quite a gradual process because we still have our destiny and karmic stuff to get through. I don't know if you have any more information on it, but it's just, it's hard for me to quite, understand that we still have the karma, right, to work through. And if the lines are disappearing, then must be a bigger picture than what we can see.
Yeah, there are different reactions. There's the reactions of our past sins, and there's different types of sins. the worst type of sins is the sins of Vaishnava Aparadha. So the general understanding is when we read all of this, they may seem like exaggerations, but they're not. The reactions of our sins, or can call it ordinary sins, so to speak, they are evaporated or they are removed quite quickly. But the offenses, the sins due to our offenses, they take a little longer. So we should think, there's so much of potency in all of this that's just being meant. We should not think less of this or think of it as being exaggerations. We should just think to ourselves, we should take it in the sense, my gosh, I've been doing this. I must have so much of sins. What a stock of sins I may have. And secondly, I'm still feeling the reactions of my sinful activities because I must have been so offensive to Vaishnavas. I must have been offensive to Vaishnavas in my past life and even my present life. That's why I'm feeling like this. So instead of maybe thinking less of these statements, we think more of ourselves and our situation, how fallen we are. I don't know if that makes sense to you, Chandrika Mata.
Yeah. Thank you.
Krishna. Anyone else has any comments or questions? Sure, Prabhu.
I don't have a question, but I have observed when people are dancing in the temple, and when somebody else, my friends or somebody would have come, they have commented that are they disturbing others, or I never knew about this coming from Shastra, this particular thing, I never knew about it. That dancing in front of deity is more, it will lead you to the right path. But considering that sometimes some people want to meditate in the temple and listen to the kirtans going on, and then suddenly there is a group of people who are making a lot of noises while dancing. So I just couldn't relate to that.
It is said in religion, you get two types of people. You get the enthusiastic and you get the reflective. It is said the enthusiastic are those who like to show their emotion. They like to bang cymbals and beat drums and jump and dance. And then the reflective is those who feel they like to be very quiet. You shouldn't show much emotion. You should keep it all in. You got to be very dignified. You got to be very, very bourgeois. And you find this two groups of people in religion at the moment, the enthusiastic and the reflective. And generally, the reflective look down upon the enthusiastic. They feel that they are emotional and sentimental. Actually, that happened to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. When he went to Benares and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing Harinam Sankirtan, the Mayavadi sannyasis, they didn't like it at all. And they called him a bhavikaha. Bhavikaha means a very sentimental person. And they said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are a sannyasi. You are coming from a line of sannyasis like us. Your sannyasi spiritual master was coming in our lineage. Why are you dancing and singing like a sentimentalist? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very humbly said, I am a fool. My spiritual master, he told me I'm a fool. And he simply instructed me to chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and to sing and dance. And being a fool, I am simply following his order. That's what he said. And then they said, okay, we need to teach you Vedanta. Because you need to, as a sannyasi, you need to be very composed. And they tried to speak Vedanta to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu listened without saying anything. And when they finished, they said, you've been quiet. Have you understood? He said, yes, I have. And he said, actually, the Vedanta you speak, I don't understand. I know Vedanta. And then he explained Vedanta to them. And they were just shocked. How he explained Vedanta philosophy, how deep he knew the Vedanta philosophy. But the lineage, the process for this age is Harinam Sankirtan, is to sing and dance. Let the other people criticize. Let the reflective people do what? But we follow the process of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by doing so, we achieve the highest result of Krishna consciousness. And we should, maybe explain some of these stories about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his experience and so on, and give them some spiritual understanding. So next time, and then you can quote. When you quote this verse from the Shastra, this is not something sentimental that the devotees are just engaging in now. Quote the Shastra. And Prabhupada, that's why he said, I want y'all, just like a lawyer studies the law books, y'all should study my books very scrutinizingly. And if we study that, no one can touch us. And ultimately, Kishore Prabhu, if by doing this, by convincing people that this is the process, this is the age, this is how you can make tangible advancement, we're doing the best service to these people. I hope that answers your point or your question.
No, I think it's deeply answers my question. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll stop here today. Thank you very much for your active participation and your nice questions. All glories to your service, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nectar of Devotion ki jai.
Vrindavan,
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.